Hey guys, Mary, and welcome back to Study Journey. Welcome back to the game series. This is the third episode of the Decisions game, and in today's episode, we're going to be continuing writing functions and using JavaScript to program our game. So without further ado, let's continue on with the video. Okay, so in the previous episode, we have made a few screens, but now we're going to continue on. So this was if A1 button was pressed, which is this button right here. But what if A2 button is pressed? Well, we haven't coded that yet. So right now when we click it, you can't really click it. So right here is if A1 button is pressed, and this is under screen 1, which is right here. Otherwise, so let's say else if screen. So let's say else if the A2 button is pressed. So A2 button dot mouse dot presses, and then the parentheses, and then the brackets. So we're going to, let's say, I'm going to print display screen 5. And then we're going to basically do the same thing, except we're just going to show screen 5. And screen 5, I'm just going to end it there. So it's just going to change the background to, let's say, plum. And then we can add some text. So same as the text that we've done before. We can say welcome to screen 5 with the text in the middle. And then obviously we want the A1 and A2 buttons to also be gone. So here's where I got rid of them, just like we did before. And now let's run our code. So if we click right, it says welcome to screen 5. There's no more buttons, and that is it. So as we can see, a lot of times in this code right here, if screen is 1, when we press the button, something happens, and then when we press the button, it goes to another screen. So here it goes to screen 5, here it goes to screen 2, and right here it goes to screen 1. But what if we can make these functions so the main code right here is easier to read? So let's say if we just say go to screen 5, and that is a function, and it completely just reads this function without actually having all this code in the main function. So how we can do this is if the enter button is pressed right here from the background color all the way to screen equals 1, I'm going to copy this and then delete it. And then on the very bottom, I'm going to write a function. So I'm going to name it show screen 1. And then it's going to have a curly bracket, and then I'm just going to paste everything that I just copied in here. And then right here above where I just deleted it, I'm just going to call this function. So I'm going to call show screen 1 with the parentheses and then a semicolon. So let's run this, and it should work exactly the same. So when we click the enter button, it still goes to screen 1, and that's perfect. And now we can do the same with the screen 2 and the rest of the screens. Remember, all of this is going to be screen 2. So on the bottom of this right here, I'm actually going to add in the set the screen equal to 2, and then below it right here, I'm going to set the screen to 5. Okay, so now everything between the screen equals 2 and also the print statement, I'm going to copy and then delete all of it. And then I'm going to go down here and write another function. And I'm going to call it show screen 2. And then I'm going to copy everything in and call the function where I deleted it. So show screen 2. Now watch how I run between every step, so I can make sure it works, and I know where my error is if I do make a mistake. And so now I'm going to do the same with right here. So from background to the screen equal, I'm going to copy it, delete it, and then go down here and write a function. And this one is going to be show screen 5. And then I'm going to copy everything in and call the function show screen 5. And now that we have this, when we run it, the code should run exactly the same. So we still have all these functions, we still have the same buttons, and we can still click it all the same. But right here, the main code right here is so much easier to read. So if the screen is 1 and you press the A1 button, it goes to screen 2. Else if you press the A2 button, then it goes to screen 5. That's so much easier to understand. And now we can program the B1 and B2 buttons. So remember when we click enter and we go onto screen 2, there's the B1 and B2 buttons. And right now they go nowhere. But we can write some functions for the B1 and B2 button. So B1, I'm going to let it go to screen 3. And then B2, I'm going to let it go to screen 4. So right here when I was naming all these functions, right below screen 2, I'm going to write a function for show screen 3. And this is also going to be like an ending page, just like screen 5. So for screen 3, I'm just going to copy what I have for screen 5. And instead of making the color plum, let's make the cover, for example, lavender. And we're going to say, welcome to screen 3. And everything else is the same, except we don't have A1 and A2 buttons, we have B1 and B2 buttons. So I'm going to make the B1 and B2 buttons invisible. And we can do the same for show screen 4. Let's say the background is going to be, for example, plum, and then we can say welcome to screen 4 and make the B1 and B2 buttons invisible. Okay, so now that we have these functions, we have to actually call the functions. So when is the B1 and B2 buttons going to be used? Well, we can only see it when it's on screen 2. So it's not going to be on screen 1, but rather if it is on screen 2. So I'm going to say else if the screen is equal to 2, then when the button is pressed, when B1 is pressed, it can display screen 3. So I'm basically going to do the same thing as I did above. So I'm just going to copy down this code, and it's going to be B1 button, and it's going to display screen 3 when it's B1. So show screen, and it's going to be 3. And then when B2 is pressed, it's going to go to screen 4. Okay, so now let's run it and see if it works. So press enter, and it says welcome to screen 1. We go left, let's go to B1, and it says welcome to screen 3. Now let's make sure B2 works. And yes, it does. So now we have basically completed the basis of our code, and we know how most of it works. We have the functions for each page, and we also created functions to simplify our main code right here. So now in the next episode, we're actually going to customize what we have right here. Instead of just saying welcome to screen blank, it's going to actually create a story.